the very first thing that everybody really, listens to, hears about is, they talk about Bitcoin and they talk about blockchain. And the first thought that everybody gets and everybody understand after Bitcoin is that they think it's like the internet money or the way to transact online. But when we talk about the blockchain, the underlying technology, nobody, like the beginners at least, they don't know what to think of that, right? So, Gary, why don't we start with that? Simply explain what is a blockchain.
Sure, man. Yeah, actually, you're 100% right. Crypto is money or is has value, but it's mostly and more importantly a technology. So if you Google blockchain, you'll probably get something like distributed um, ledger or using crypto as a security, right? But what does that mean for the layman terms, for the beginners? So basically, what a blockchain is a bunch of miners, which I'm sure you heard from Bitcoin, or nodes, which Ethereum uses, all around the world, verifying the transactions. They don't know each other, and that's what makes you trust them. So, as an example, currently when we send money, just to use money as an example, I here in the U.S. will go to a bank, call it J.P. Morgan, and I will do a $100,000 wire to you, Aman, at Citibank. JP Morgan is the verifier. It's a centralized figure. It's not distributed. It's one company. It verifies that I have money in my account and then lets Citibank know, sure, we're going to transfer this money. We verify that there's money. And then Citibank on the other side verifies that they received the transaction and put the money in your account. Um, the ledger in this scenario is that I see my account balance go down by $100,000 and you see your account go up by $100,000. That's the traditional way that we've all been sending money for the last 50 years, let's say. With the blockchain, what ends up happening is it's, first of all, in a lot of cases, decentralized, but it's distributed more importantly. Meaning that when I send money from my wallet, there's no central figure in Bitcoin. There's no Bitcoin CEO that or Bitcoin company that verifies the transaction. The verification happens all around the world with people running algorithms on their PCs or mining, what we call mining, to confirm and to put the transaction onto the ledger, which is the blockchain. So when I send you Bitcoin, $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, I put it out there to all the miners around the world that I'll pay them a small nominal fee to verify that transaction. Now there's 20 or 30 of them, so it's not one bad actor to all confirm. They don't know each other, so that's what makes it safe for me to send it and safe for you to receive it. They verify the transaction using that algorithm, and using crypto technology, they put it onto the blockchain for transparency. And then what ends up happening is my wallet is deducted $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, and your wallet is increased by $100,000 of Bitcoin, and the whole world gets to see that. In the traditional sense, only I and J.P. Morgan in my scenario would see that my account went down by 100,000 and how much I have left, and only you and Citibank would know your account went up by 100,000. So that's the distributed part of crypto, and the ledger part is that it's printed on the blockchain, so everybody can see that that transaction happened. So if you have a problem, we could always go back to the blockchain, which is open for everybody to see, and see that it went from this wallet to that wallet. So there's no argument afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you for explaining that. I think that was very helpful to understand, especially for others as well, because you gave an example of the traditional financial institutions, how banks transact, and what happens on the blockchain. So it's a good comparison, I would say. Coming on to the next question, which is what is Bitcoin and what are altcoins? And if you could also give an example of the Wi-Fi token and how it's built and how it works, then that'll be great.
Sure. So Bitcoin is the OG of the space. It was pretty much the first crypto out there, and it's the crypto that most people see and watch. From a price point for trading, Bitcoin is kind of the index, right? So we have in traditional finance the indexes like the Dow and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, which people kind of use as an index, and that's why Bitcoin is the biggest, is because it's an index. When Bitcoin is up, people just assume the whole crypto space is up, and vice versa. Uh, when I like to talk about it, especially to beginners, I like to explain it. Bitcoin is a highway, right? So Bitcoin was built a very long time ago in technology terms, at least. And as we know, technology gets better and better over time. So Bitcoin, even though it's the most well regarded and most well known, it's actually from a technology perspective one of the simplest cryptos out there. So what I like to say is Bitcoin is like a highway. It gets you from point A to point B very efficiently and effectively. For the most part, it's cheap and fast. But you're not going to be building storefronts on the highway. You're not going to be building Gucci on the highway because most people won't stop on the highway to go to a store. It just meant to transfer money from point A to point B. And like I said, it does a pretty good job of it. Altcoins, let's take Ethereum, which is the second largest, which is not really an altcoin, but it's a different kind of scenario where it's a little bit more advanced in technology. It allows for smart contracts, and I like to say that these type of layer ones are kind of like the streets or the boulevard or avenues wherever you're from. It still gets you from point A to point B, but the main point or one of the main points of it is that you can build storefronts, right? So it's not just to get you from point A to point B. On the way there, you can stop and go to a store to shop. So that's kind of the difference with where it comes with the smart contracts. It gives you a lot of ability to build on it, as opposed to Bitcoin doesn't really give you that much ability to build on top of it. And as an example, as an altcoin, Wi-Fi map, we built on Polygon, which is a layer two, which is compatible with Ethereum and ERC20. And so we built on it, and like Wi-Fi Map is the store, right? So just like you would go to Gucci on Fifth Avenue in New York City, in Polygon, you can go and transact and go to Wi-Fi Map, and Wi-Fi Map gives you a lot of ability because it's a crowdsourced, it's a Web 3.0 company, gives you a lot of ability to do things that you wouldn't be able to do in the Web 2.0, like incentivizing the community and stuff like that. So that's the main differences between Bitcoin and altcoins and Wi-Fi Map is that Bitcoin was a very simple technology that just let you send money from point A to point B, and it is great at serving this purpose. Now we're a little bit more complex with smart contracts, and we could go a little bit deeper. There's different types of smart contracts, DeFi and NFTs and so on. But basically, all of what layer ones do is they allow you to build on top of it. And Wi-Fi Map is one of those companies that has built on top of a layer one, which we used Polygon, or layer two, we used Polygon. And there we're able to use the full power of the technology of the blockchain to not only incentivize our community, but also do a lot of different cool things by giving our members or users of who buy premium packages different incentives to also buy. So we give them cash back. We give them different things if they participate. We give them tokens, and this allows everybody to benefit from the ecosystem. And that's what really Web 3.0 is. It's a decentralized way, or not decentralized, but distributed way to benefit from the ecosystem.
Thank you. I think that's another great explanation, especially for anybody who's just a beginner in the space and wanting to start their crypto journey. That brings me to the next question: how to get started? How do you educate yourself in the world of crypto?
Sure. We live in a beautiful time. 40 years ago, in the 1980s, let's say, or even 1990s, it's very hard to even find anything on traditional finance. That's why these banks were able to charge so much money for brokerage and stuff like that. Even though it wasn't necessarily complicated, it seemed complicated for the average person. Today we live in a completely different world where you could go on YouTube, or you could go on TikTok, you could go on Twitter, you could go on Facebook, and you could search and find millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people talking about crypto. And of course, some of them don't know what they're talking about, but I'd say the majority of them, at least for in the beginning stages, do know what they're talking about. So if you really want to explore deeper into blockchain and into crypto, I would start doing the resources from the technology side first to understand the technology, understand the differences in technologies between the layer ones and layer twos. And then once you found the understanding of how they are different and how some are better, how some are worse, how some are more geared for different things, some are more geared for gaming, some are more geared for DeFi, then you can kind of go deeper into it and look into the company. So it's kind of a top down If you want to use a traditional macroeconomic term, it's a top-down research that I would recommend. So you kind of want to start from the top, understanding the technology, and then move your way down, understanding how these technologies can help certain companies in certain fields. And then what we can do is we can turn around and look into which companies will benefit from it and how are they doing a good job of building on it so that they can take advantage of the technology.